Hello. Today I will be commenting on the T8 German battleship, the Bismarck. Now I'm gonna be comparing this gorgeous ship mostly to its sister ship, the Tirpitz, since I'm pretty sure most of the user base should be familiar with the Tirpitz. It has been around for so long by now. Of course, the first thing you'll notice is hydroacoustic search. It doesn't have torpedoes, but on the flip side, it does have hydroacoustic search. So you can't YOLO enemy battleships as easily, but on the other hand, you can YOLO enemy DDs much easier. It has pretty much the same maneuverability as the Tirpitz. It's almost got exactly the same stats. The Bismarck is half a knot faster, so it doesn't really matter, honestly. Once again, guns are almost in the identical as well, like a few 100-meter difference in range and like a few seconds in turret traverse. I think the Tirpitz is 31.6, this one has 36, or that might even be calculating in expert marksman. Very similar stats in every single way, except of course when we get to AA. The Tirpitz actually has far worse AA, mid-range AAs especially. They both gain a huge benefit from manual AA, but the Bismarck actually has far better mid-range AA, which means it also gains a significant amount of AA from using AFT. And that difference in mid-range AA becomes fairly obvious when you're actually shooting down planes, and I'll hopefully be able to demonstrate it here when I'll go get the ire of the carrier on me. Now, it's where we get to the secondaries that things get interesting. You see, the Tirpitz secondaries reload a bit faster, but they only have 5 kilometers of range. The Bismarck secondaries, it has 28 of them. They all shoot HE, which is highly necessary for secondaries to be efficient, because you want the fire chance and you want to be able to damage every type of ship. And HE is of course perfect for that. So they all shoot HE, and the default range is 7.3. That's the stock range. Now, why the stock range being high is important, you notice by the way I'm spotting that Benson constantly with my hydro on the other side of this cliff. I'm even telling my team I'm going to D with hydro, so this Benson is perma-spotted. I already have him as a manual secondary target. Now, what I was saying about secondaries, the thing that makes it so special when the stock range is 7.3 is that all secondary buffs are percentage based. You increase them by percentages. So if you have a good base to work with, you can make them incredibly long distance and surprisingly potent. In fact, this ship is, as you can see here, I have secondaries focused on him, and you can see the hits, the counter on the right ticking up, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, bam, he's dead. And I focus the Bliska next. Now, these secondaries have 10.6 kilometers of range. 10.6. So, and they have a huge, with all of them shooting HE, you see the fire chance I get. I'm getting fires and stuff. I eat 2 torpedoes here. I wasn't able to dodge them entirely. I tried to slow down, but I was too greedy to also get the kills and the damage on these DDs. You can see the amount of hits I'm just raining down on this Bliska. 16, 18, I'm breaking stuff, modules on him. DDs, you are the nightmare for DDs. You push into a cap with your hydro on, you see them through the smoke, and you don't even need to be pointing your guns at them to absolutely melt them because of this incredible secondary spec. And it's so much fun to play. It's absolutely hilarious to play, to just charge into caps with these secondaries active and just melt everything in your way. I'm a bit surprised our Benson didn't chase down that guy. Our Benson is hiding in smoke instead of pushing in and killing that low HP guy. Considering the backup he has here, I would have expected him to rush him. But whatever, we got the kill eventually anyway, and we're gonna secure the cap. Both the DDs were, well, you saw both of them tried to hide in smokes, but because of my hydro, they couldn't do it, and well, that's just how potent it is. And you can see my secondaries are already opening up on this New Mexico, and you can hopefully also see that I'm shooting down a ton of planes on my right, constantly ticking in planes and secondary hits. And this ship is very satisfying to play. It's so much fun to play. I mean, you won't get those insane damage numbers, and the secondaries probably won't net you these huge damage numbers with them. Of course, you can have some ridiculous games if you get very lucky with fires and such, but it's more of the fact that you have this huge zoning circle around you, which straight up denies anyone from getting near you. you can be a hugely aggressive battleship against destroyers, and destroyers absolutely hate you. It's kind of amusing to be able to turn it on its side, because usually DDs want to hunt battleships, but when it comes to the Bismarck, they most certainly don't want to hunt you. They want to run, they want to flee, they want nothing to do with you. Managed to land a Citadel on the Nagato, which was nice considering I managed to whiff so many shots on that New Mexico. Oh well, I happened to hit angles which made my shells bounce, which was a bit annoying, but whatever. You can see my secondaries in fire, which is the reason why I chose this one, just to showcase what I could do there, like how what a huge asset for my team I could be by pushing into that cap for them. They were both DDs like sat in their smokes and stalemates, and then the Bismarck shows up and everybody shits their pants. It's just a hilarious ship, and it's usually the issue that most secondary builds have in this game. Like, I've tried secondary builds on so many different ships, including the Yamato, and I've been unable to recommend any of them because they simply aren't viable. They lack that something that made them worth it. It's a combination of range, of potency, of being able to deal with DDs to actually like hit them and so forth. I've never really been able to recommend it, but this is the first ship ever where I can fully and warm-heartedly recommend the full manual secondaries build, because it works so well on the Bismarck and it's so fun to play. And if it wasn't for the hydroacoustic surge, this wouldn't work. In fact, before they added hydro, I was very skeptical about using this build, but now with the hydro there is such great synergy between the manual secondaries and the hydroacoustic surge, because it means the DD can't just smoke up and just punish you for pushing in, but it means you can chase them away and you can hunt them down, and you can literally be that secondary monster that no one really wants to face. And it's strong against everything, of course. And when it comes to the general Bismarck versus Tirpitz, you don't have to be worried about that the Tirpitz is gonna the Tirpitz is gonna be overpowered compared to this one. In fact, I had tried really hard to find a situation where I could show off. That just looks so hilarious. Like, doesn't that look hilarious? That poor Scharnhorst is like, what's going on? Where are all these fires coming from? Where are all these shells coming from? I got 2 fires on him already. Just like raining down these shells on him. Absolutely disgustingly hilarious, and I love it. This is so much fun. I like grinding the Bismarck to the Friedrich is so easy if you have this build, or well, it's so much fun when you have this build. Even against T10s, it's hilarious. Like, you haven't seen True Fear until you've seen a Gearing or Khabarovsk try to spam you with HE, and then you just calmly select him as a secondary target, and you watch as the same amount of rain of HE that he's spamming at you comes flying back at him, and he goes like, what the hell is going on? And like turns tail and starts to flee. And it's fun. It's just pure and simple fun. In fact, it might be some of the most fun I've had in a battleship in, I don't even know, like Scharnhorst maybe? Actually, I really love these new German battleships. I've had so much fun in them, but both Bismarck and Scharnhorst, while they play very differently, both have their unique way of just being incredibly fun to play. And that's a 10 out of 10 from me to Wargaming, making both of these very enjoyable to play. Now, of course, it's actually, once again, this ship doesn't have really the same weaknesses that the Tirpitz has. The Tirpitz, of course, is quite vulnerable to AA, until of course you get manual AA. But the Bismarck really doesn't have that same issue. In fact, I haven't really struggled too much with planes, even though I've just been running AFT for the secondary build. I mean, this hero is here. He's probably going to focus me now. I'm getting fairly close to him now. He's being hunted down, of course. So hopefully he will focus me. Of course, it's T7 CV, but it should still give you some idea of just how strong the anti-air is. Of course, DDs, which can be an issue for the Tirpitz, is once again not nearly as much of a one for the Bismarck because of hydroacoustic surge. It's the German hydroacoustic surge, which is of course so incredibly potent. I can't sadly shoot the hero, which behind the wall with secondaries, so I take the New Orleans as my target. Okay, see, now the squad, he enters my mid-range AA, those planes do, and you can see how the planes just start going down. And that's without manual AA. If you don't want the secondary build and you don't want to go, for example, the stealth build, which is also, it works just fine. I mean, you don't have to go secondaries on this. In fact, if you don't have a 15-point captain and you can't get manual secondaries, then I don't even recommend going for them, but I recommend just playing pretty much a normal Tirpitz build on this until you can get it. The secondaries are still quite fun even without manual AA, but I feel like manual AA, I mean without manual secondaries, but I feel if you want to go the full secondary build, you really need to get that perk first, because that 60% dispersion is such a huge difference. But you see that the A8 has, I mean, of course it's T7 in the CV, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. It would take longer to kill T8 planes, but still it should give you some indication of that it's certainly not that easily killed by planes as the Tirpitz, especially Tirpitz without manual AA. If you put both AFT and manual AA on this thing, it's actually really potent at killing planes. So once again, that's another thing I like about this ship, is that there's plenty of options. I mean, you can go for the full AA Fortress build if you want. If you struggle with CVs, that will make you pretty much impregnable by, oh god, I fumbled that word, against pretty much all types of ships. I mean, if you go full AA build, then carriers will struggle touching you, and with the Hydro, DDs will struggle touching you. So I mean, you can really specialize yourself in different ways on the ship, and that's something I enjoy about it. It gives you the freedom. You don't have to go a certain stock build enabled to be effective in the ship. In fact, in terms of battleship design, this might be one of the most satisfying ships. Of course, it struggles with it has this default Tirpitz dispersion, which is notoriously not very good, so you shouldn't be sniping in this. But then again, it also has the notorious Tirpitz armor, which means if you're angled, you pretty much take no damage. So people should of course be pushing in with the ship, and of course optimally within range of being able to use these secondaries, which are once again, you see starting fires. It's hilarious. It's such an additional asset of just this constant range. You force them to blow damage con, and then you break their turrets with your main guns, or you sometimes I've even had people repair my fires, then I've citadeled them and I've broken their engine, and then they're just sitting there with their engine broken, unable to do anything. The combination is just hilarious and very satisfying. I didn't even have my secondaries killed him, so I got close quarters expert. And trust me, if you run this build, you will be getting close quarters expert a lot. You will be constantly racking in that close quarters expert's reward. Oh, let's see, can I actually kill this Mayoko? I'm about to get Kraken here. Shit, he's just turning away. 99, reload. Oh, and the game ends. Well, that's a bit of a shame. But that was what, a 30-minute game? And you see I charge through cap to cap to cap, just killing everything in my way, and honestly, just having a great time. 142 secondary hits, 15 planes shut down, and I managed to top the scores, which is always great, but overall, let's see detailed report. My secondaries did 25.5k plus the fire, so a bit over 30k. It doesn't sound as special, but you see the biggest impact they really have is that zoning tool and that terror they are for the enemy destroyers. Anyway, now I'm going to show you guys something special. Well, I really struggled here to find a situation where I could demonstrate Tirpitz versus Bismarck. Now, this isn't really a fair fight, because first of all, I'm less than half HP. I only have one heal left, and my enemy Tirpitz is pretty much full HP, and he has pretty much all his heals left since he's been sitting in the back, whereas I pushed in like a madman at the start and took a bunch of damage. So this is going to be hugely in his favor. Actually, let's check how much HP is. I have 30k, he has 61,300. So he's almost full HP with all his heals. I'm half HP with only one heal. And I want to show you just how you can deal with the Tirpitz in a 1v1. The reason it was really hard to actually find this, but I got lucky and a cyclone hit. So as soon as the cyclone hit, I turned around and went to fight this Tirpitz, because I figured I can show you just that people don't have to be worried about the Tirpitz being some sort of premium pay-to-win ship in comparison to this one, especially when you run this secondary build. You see, the first things I do is of course I angle myself away, I turn away, I take him as my secondary target, and I activate Hydroacoustic Search. Hydroacoustic Search naturally counters his torpedoes, so I will have plenty of warning whenever he decides to use them. And my secondaries, he repaired my first couple of fires, so now my secondaries are just going ham. They're going ham, they're going ham, they're going ham. And I'm of course angling myself. What did I say about Tirpitz troll armor? Well, the Bismarck of course has it as well. So if you angle, you take very little AP damage. That's something everyone should know by now. You see I'm just bouncing shells. That's what you do in both the Tirpitz and the Bismarck when you angle yourself. And I'm making sure I kind of want to give some broadside simply because I want all my secondaries to be able to rain down hits on him. Of course I'm aiming for his guns because I want to disable them. There we go. Disabling guns in a 1v1 fight like this against other battleships, aiming for guns is always good, especially if it's an angled Tirpitz, where you won't really do much damage if you aim for his hull, but if you aim for the guns you can cripple them and that puts them out of use for a second. Now the Kiev joined in, so I'm literally 1 versus 2. Remember, I started with 30k HP and this Tirpitz started with 60k, and now he has Kiev helping him, spamming me with HE as well. So okay, there's his torps. You see how early I see his torps. That's because of Hydra. And of course, because I'm kiting away, I have plenty of time to react. And what happened to the 60k HP this Tirpitz had? Well, it's melting away. It's melting away in the sun. In fact, oh, gotta dodge this. There we go. Can't afford to hit the torp when we don't have any repair, since the flooding would really cripple us. Keep kiting away, keep running away. You see, at this point he gets so frustrated, he actually switches to HE to get fires and damage on me. Because that's how absolutely brutally wrecked he's getting by this build. And of course, if he switches to HE, I don't fear turning for full broadside to be able to use my AP. And bam, arsonist. Tirpitz killed in a 1 versus 2 with him having 60k and me having 30k. And I think that is absolutely straight up hilarious. And just to give you an idea, that's how much damage I did to him. My main battery 42k, my secondaries with fires 29k and 5k, so combined about 35k damage with my secondaries. Poor guy. Poor guy. Now, as usual, moving on to the modules. One thing I actually really like about the Bismarck is that it's surprisingly good at stock. I mean, it's actually really good at stock. You gain very small upgrades from all of these. In fact, the hull upgrade gives you 4.7k HP and a bit of AA. And unlike all those Japanese ships where you basically have to get the first hull upgrade because your guns are somehow superbly nerfed or superbly garbage, the stock Bismarck is a very strong ship. And I like this a lot because I hated having to play stock ships that sucked and basically having to use free XP to get a playable experience. But the Bismarck, it's just perfectly fine. Get the hull upgrade and then get either speed or range, whichever you feel like you need. Both are just as fine. You don't really need either, but both are nice bonuses to get while grinding for the Friedrich. So that's something I definitively enjoy. Consumable wise, if you're gonna go, I recommend going at least 2 premium consumables, repair, and then it's kind of up to you depending on your playstyle. You can go heal if you play a bit more passive, or you can go hydro if you want to play more aggressive. But, well, if you're gonna go just 1 premium, at least get the repair. Now, remember, this is for the secondary build, so of course you go auxiliary armaments mod, aka the secondary survivability, and you go the secondary range and dispersion on the second slot. But remember, this is only for if you have manual secondaries. If you don't, then just take the build I used on my Friedrich der Grosse. It works just as perfectly on the Bismarck as it does on the Friedrich. But this is purely for the secondary. Now here there's some option again. You can get target acquisition or concealment. Personally, I prefer concealment and playing intelligently around hydroacoustic search instead, because I prefer this 14.3 kilometer concealment because it lets me disengage at times when I want to, whereas without it I find myself, the 15.6 is a bit too big to be able to disengage. So I don't feel you need the target acquisition system, because if you play intelligently around your hydroacoustic, you shouldn't be needing it. But once again, there's some flavor here available depending on which one you choose. I personally didn't feel it necessary. Now, captain perks wise, this is of course 17-point captain, not the 18 yet, but what you want is basic survivability, expert marksman, superintendent instead of vigilance because you want hydro, advanced firing training, and manual fire control for secondaries. Of course, remember this is just for the secondary build. If you want, if you don't have 15-point captain yet, then well, basically just go everything except for manual fire control. You can even get vigilance in between while waiting or something. Now, once I get an 18-point captain, I will spec out a basic firing training and reload, or whatever it's called. What is it called? Expert loader, and I will get vigilance instead. So I can be even more aggressive when Hydro is on cooldown. But that's only when I get an 18-point captain. Anyway, that was my Bismarck commentary. I hope you all enjoyed it, because I certainly did.